and ready to go this morning. So I want to invite you to get in on the conversation. 205-342-9904. The Alabama One hotline is open for business, inviting you to get in on the conversation. And you're always welcome to join us via chat in the various media outlets, and we'll bring your conversation, your questions, your thoughts into the show. So, looking forward to that. And remember, as we remind you each and every day, that this is the day that the Lord has made. So, let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Speaking of being a difference, the NFL draft was last night. Some people got difference makers, some questionable, opinions galore, winners, losers. We'll talk about that. How Alabama did on day one in the draft. Any surprises there? Also, the Georgia Hall setting a record, Alabama setting a record. Um, and of course, now we turn our attention to day two as well, and whether or not Alabama have a few more guys go into the draft. So we're inviting you to get in on the conversation. Wouldn't want to do it without you. That's the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Oh, Mark, sleepy. We were up here the last pick last night, so I'm doing great. I'm doing great, but I'm excited for Friday. I'm excited for round number 2 and 3, and we'll see what the rest of the weekend has in store.
All right. Well, let's talk about round one, just as a whole. What was your opinion and feel of the NFL draft last night?
Well, I enjoyed it for the most part. Towards the latter part of the TV production, it got too much of a TV production for me. I was worried for them to just rattle off the last three or four picks. But I enjoyed it for the most part. You had Trayvon Walker, who got to be the number one overall pick from the University of Georgia. Kind of had a late push in the last 4 or 5 weeks to get to that number one overall pick. But I thought that for Alabama, for our two players, Evan Neal, I think went to a great spot. I'm a little worried for our boy Jamison Williams, given the circumstances in Detroit. But overall, I thought the draft really played out. I mean, selfishly for me as a Bears fan, the first round not having a pick, watching the board fall, and how we've got prospects today. I'm excited for I'm excited for the Bears' next pick at number 39. I think there's going to be a lot of great players left available for them to take.
Yeah, I, I thought everybody dogged the quarterback position in this draft. As I watched this draft, Joe, I I felt like it was like that all over the board as far as position players, um, in terms of just I don't know if it's maybe because of COVID and everything. I didn't feel like the ceiling on this draft was anywhere near as high as a lot of NFL drafts. And like I said, I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just from the Trayvon Walker, he could be a great player. He could be. I don't know. He has huge potential, but coming out there was nothing great. And I'm a Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's really good, but I think he's overhyped. I think he's going to be a good pro, but I think in other drafts, neither one of those guys would have been one or two, if that makes sense. And I don't know if you saw the they said all five quarterbacks last year were ranked higher. You have to go to number 6 before I think you get to Kenny Pickett, and he was the number one overall pick. You know what I mean? So I think on the other hand, I thought the offensive lineman Evan Neal and offensive tackles probably was one of the best drafts. So it's kind of like I have mixed emotions over it, and some of it could be I just didn't know enough of these guys intimately in their college career, and they may all be great. But that was kind of my overall feeling of I enjoyed watching how the draft played out, but not necessarily from an excitement standpoint. What was your biggest surprise of the night?
Well, Martin, just to touch on a lot of things you just said, you're exactly right. The top end of the draft this year, it was thinner than the last handful of years, which is why the mid round, when you get to about pick 8 to 18 or so, your real value starts to come around 18 to about 75 in this draft, in my opinion. Then you also saw the way the NFL is operating. The first 7 picks were all offensive tackles, edge rushers, and cornerbacks. Everything to do with the passing game.
Yeah.
Everything to do with keeping the passing game alive or shutting the passing game down on the
Yep.
opposition. My biggest surprise. Oh, let's see. I was okay. My biggest surprise, not to be cliche, but it probably would. Okay, if it wasn't Atlanta taking Drake London as the first receiver at number 8, then I will have to give it to the Detroit Lions trading up to get Jamison Williams, and that surprised me for two reasons. One, the Lions traded with division rival Minnesota Vikings. So every touchdown that Jamison Williams scores this
Yeah.
year, or his entire Lions career, is going to be directly as a result from a trade from a rival. So it's going to be interesting. I wonder how the Minnesota fans will feel about that. But Detroit jumping it back up to number 12. I mean, I obviously see what they're going for with a great prospect like Jamison Williams, but are they prepared to utilize him this season? Jared Goff, his arm is maybe less than is subpar. I really wonder if he's going to be a good fit in Detroit. I think that was a huge surprise to me. But then the Titans trading away AJ Brown in the middle of the draft. Uh, they're really big time receiver. They traded him away in the middle of the draft and basically replaced him with Traylon Burks. I thought that was a wild move. And then the Ravens traded away their receiver to the Cardinals. Traded away Hollywood Brown in the middle of the draft. So a lot of guys were on the move last night, whether they were getting drafted or already in the league. There was a lot to it. And then of course the big surprise, the biggest probably surprise was the Patriots at coming out Cole Strange. Cole Strange has having some pretty good FCS tape, pretty nice FCS tape, and I think he's a well thought of academic, well thought of mind, basically. I think he's got a lot of toughness, but a lot of predictions, a lot of models had Cole Strange being drafted in the 3rd round. So I think the Patriots may have overreached on their pick last night to ensure they got a guard for Mac Jones.
I actually had Belichick draft. That's what I had a note on that. That is so Belichick in terms of that pick. And I thought it was pretty fun. They showed a New England fan, and he had on I think a Amendola jersey or something, and the commentators on the NFL draft network, they were like, and that guy just said, I just drove all the way across the country and he picked Cole Strange. You know what I mean? Like this guy's live in Las Vegas and he was like, woo, the Patriots. And then it was like, okay. And then when I went back to him the second time, Joe, it was so funny. He's high fiving and dapping and Rich Eisen and the crew said, well, I guess that'd be an example of in Belichick we trust. Kind of like we do as Alabama fans when we see Saban do something questionable, and we know in our own minds if anybody else made that decision, we'd be like, really? That is such a bad decision. But then we'll come to grips and say, okay, Saban must know something we don't. And that shows you just how important a Senior Bowl is, right? You know, when I see guys that are borderline or questionable bypassing that Senior Bowl, I'm like, you are crazy. That kid does not get drafted. I don't think they said that he had an unbelievable Senior Bowl, and then they went back and watched his tape. So, interesting thing there. What I'd like to do is dig a little deeper into the wide receiver because Joe, you mentioned all the crazy wide receiver that happened. So we're going to kick that to the uh, second quarter because there were several things, and then there's still one interesting. I'm going to see what your thoughts are regarding that happened or didn't happen again, and is there another Alabama receiver out there that may end up making a little noise in this offseason, which is yet to be determined. I'm going to throw out a surprise and give you a little bit more, Joe, on the other side. Georgia, of course, setting the record for defensive players taken in the first round with 5. Ironically, at the end of the season, the one that you thought potentially would be the first Georgia defensive player taken is the only one that wasn't taken in the first round, Nakobe Dean. So we'll talk about that. Is Nakobe Dean right now the biggest shocker not gone off the board from a beginning of the draft season till now? We'll talk about him. We'll talk about those Georgia players. And, of course, we'll talk more about the Alabama players and dig into the wide receiver conversation. You can get in on it at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Go to alabama1.org, and register. I mean, not register, but get a loan and get qualified to win a big green egg. Loans as low as 1.99, whether it's commercial and ag equipment, whether it's recreational vehicles like boats, motorcycles, RVs, UTVs, golf carts, ATVs, etc. All you have to do is go to alabama1.org, click the banner and apply, or drop by one of our 18 branch locations to better serve you. That's Alabama One. Get a side of a big green egg with that loan, and you will be more than satisfied with the service, the product, the loan, and you get registered to win that big green egg. Come back on the other side. More NFL draft right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, roadways are pretty quiet as we start our Friday morning. No wrecks or delays, but if you do see conditions throughout the day that first you hear about, just give me a call. 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is fair, fast, with a fun family environment. They're stress-free shopping. You'll save thousands. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
In a collision, easy decision. Make one call to one name, Mesrano, 206-6300.
No representation with the quantity legal services to be performed. Takes where the quantity legal services performed by other lawyers.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Ask big. Have you seen our artisan created diamonds? If you've been in a room with one, you
can't miss it. Tom Osmond from Fincher and Osmond. It's a diamond like I've never seen. And he's seen a lot of diamonds. Ask big. At Fincher and Osmond, you can put artisan-created diamonds side by side with mined diamonds. When you see it. More importantly, when she sees it. FincherandOsmond.com. McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather. Sky partly to mostly sunny today with a high of 83. Tonight fair with a low at 62. Tomorrow a mix of sun and clouds. A chance of widely scattered showers, the high 84. Sunday a few scattered showers and storms are possible, the high 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 56 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
What up, Detroit? J-Mo. I'm looking forward to getting down there and getting going, man. We're gonna have a hell of a time, man. One part, let's do it.
That's J-Mo talking about getting down to, up to, over to, into, whatever. The Detroit Lions moving up 20 spots. 20 spots, Joe. Pretty big surprise, not in the fact that J-Mo went at 12, and not that he was a coveted pick, but 20 spots and from a rivalries pick, pretty surprising. And one of the bigger moves of the night. Before we get to Tom, Joe, would J-Mo have a healthy J-Mo? Did we realize just how good he was? You think he's a top 5 pick? Potentially, does he break that gap, or would you think he still would have felt it? Been maybe at number 8 at Atlanta had he not been injured?
Yeah, I thought Atlanta was going to make the move. I had been kind of hearing about Atlanta making that move. They've been drafting Jameson Williams. He's definitely worth a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
But I thought Atlanta would have made that move last night, even despite the knee injury. Martin, I'm just so shocked, or really surprised that Minnesota would trade.
Right. Yeah.
Now they're going to they got more picks for sure, but oh man, that's my division, and I'm not real happy that Jameson Williams is playing for a different team.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. That would be the equivalent of at some point, say like Tampa trading and letting someone potentially get Atlanta get Julio Jones.
For sure.
I mean, that's the potential damage that Jameson Williams will do to the Vikings. So. Got a lot of other little neat nuances and things in the draft. Did you realize that 3? I know at least 3. It may be more, but I caught it on 3 teams picked the hometown guy. The Lions,
Hutchinson, and then Kenny Pickett with the Steelers. I must have missed the third one.
Akeem, the big offensive tackle from Carolina.
There you go. Okay.
Yep.
Yes,
yeah. I thought that was isn't that kind of interesting? I mean, I was like, I wonder how often something like that has happened. But that was just a neat thing.
As an NFL franchise, I don't know how much I would like that. We see that here in Tuscaloosa too. Sometimes.
It don't always work out.
Right, where the young man maybe he's a big time player in the Tuscaloosa area. He goes to Alabama and maybe doesn't do as well. it's hard to stay in your hometown where all your friends are and all your family are, and maybe some positive and maybe some negative influences are.
Most of the time, Joe, when you're a big time player, it becomes tough because people come out the woodworks. Not just your family and friends that you have to deal with and the distraction of dealing with that. Think about this, Joe. How often does a kid whose parents move here make it out? Right? Do well. Just imagine if your parents, your brother, your best friend, and those newfound relatives that want to be around you, if you get what I'm saying, show up. So you're right. I think it can be risky. And it has proven in a lot of small towns that the small town guys, not small town, the college town guys don't do well when they stay home. And you can check college after college that seems to be. So it'll be interesting to watch those three guys, and it may be others. But hey, let's get to Tom. Tom, thanks for your patience. You're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, Martin, you know this, and I know this. The Bible says a prophet hath no honor in his own town.
Yep.
So there you go. But I didn't call in to preach. I called in to talk about this thing with wide receivers that y'all brought up.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me. I was kind of shocked when Tyreek Hill got traded from the Chiefs. And I started reading some of the things that some of the so-called experts were saying about what was going on in the ranks of wide receivers and why somebody as successful as Hill had been with that system in Kansas City, why was they trading? But he was coming up at a point where they were going to have to pay him like $25 million.
Yep.
To keep it. So it's a lot of financial stuff going on, but in the article it pointed out that and Jameson Williams was one of the kids that was cited in the article, that they feel like that they can trade these veteran wide receivers and dump that big paycheck that they're going to have to pay on somebody else and pick up somebody in the draft and not really be that bad hurt because the skill level of some of the wide receivers coming out. And I think Alabama has done that over the last 4 or 5 years with the wide receivers they got. It's kind of a buyer's market, if you would, for lack of a better way to put it. But stuff is going on at that position in the NFL as wide receiver.
Yeah, let me tell you what I think it is.
The general managers think they can go to the draft and get somebody, maybe not quite as good, but that will do the job.
Let me tell you what I think it is. I think it's a couple things, and Joe, please jump in here. But you're correct, Tom. AJ Brown, veteran, right? and you guys can't see this, but Joe and I are communicating between things. My very thing I was going to say is the wide receiver has become like the running back because of the skill sets that wide receivers come out of college with. They can find a wide receiver like AJ Brown. $25 million is what they paid him per year, $57 million guaranteed. AJ Brown's a good wide receiver. I don't know if he's a top 4 wide receiver, but that's what he's being paid at right now. That's when you look at that. And there's only a handful of teams that can put that kind of money into the wide receiver position when they're trying to build their team. And it's really based on how much they're paying the quarterback. Well, where did AJ Brown end up at?
Arizona, wasn't it?
No, he ended up with Philadelphia, right?
Okay, yeah.
He ended up with Philadelphia. They have Jalen Hurts. Where did Tyreek Hill end up at?
Miami.
They have a quarterback only in his third year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where did the Brown kid from Baltimore end up? Arizona. They have a quarterback in his first year. Okay, so these big time money wide receivers are getting traded because they think the production fall off between the 25 million and the 3 to 5 million that they're going to pay the Jameson Williams of the world. It's not worth it, and that's kind of what happened to the running back position, right, Joe? That where it became almost a commodity. And notice, no one even talked. There was not even a hint. There was never even running back. What even mentioned last night? Not even mentioned in the draft that a possible running back would be taken. Am I wrong, Joe? Did you even hear it? Even
no, you're spot on.
I mean,
the thing is, and Martin is exactly right, is that do you want to pay A.J. Brown $100 million? You look at what Stephon Diggs, over $100 million. You look at Tyreek Hill, over $100 million. Same thing for Devontae Adams. You look at these franchises, the Raiders and the Bills, it's a high price tag for these wide receivers. And can you get exactly the same or similar production on the cheap? And I think you can. I think the smart teams are shipping out these high-priced wide receivers and trying to replace the production in the draft. And Martin can speak on this. The 7-on-7 camps over the last 15 years have turned quarterbacks that you see quarterbacks be much more prepared for college and pro, and you're seeing the same thing with wide receivers.
And here's the thing.
Flip side, opposite, the cornerback is so much more valuable because all the kids want to play wide receiver. And so if you can cover somebody, man, you went pick number 3 and 4 last night, cornerback.
And first time ever. That shows you first time ever it's been 2 cornerbacks taken that high.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Let me ask this. John brought up something I think is interesting. You got, and you did too, the quarterback situation at Arizona and Miami. Okay, let's look at that just a second. Tua can either do it this year or get off the pot, right or wrong.
Well, I think that they
Jalen in Philadelphia, he can do it this year, or he's going to have to get off the pot. You got 2 quarterbacks, high profile, that we think that both of them are good, but they're going to have to produce this year, and they're giving them the wide receivers. Now, here's how I think they're minimizing the risk. If that quarterback don't produce this year, they're going to bust him out of there, and they're going to put in a rookie quarterback. Well, they're going to save that big money off that quarterback that's coming up on a negotiated new contract. If he's gone, they're going to start all over with the quarterback, but they're going to have a lot of receivers in place.
Yeah, well, and I think this is it could be a make or break, but since they're both going, it's really that 4th year where they get rid of them because they have a 5-year deal. But yeah, I think that both of those teams have done what they need to do to help these Tua and Jalen, be able to move in that. And I'll say one more thing about the.
Hold on about that. You see what I'm saying, though? They've done everything. They've got what they think the pieces are in place to help these young quarterbacks, right?
Right.
Now, if they don't, they can move this quarterback out and put in a rookie and look at the money they'll save because they're not going to start thinking about paying that big contract. But if that quarterback is productive with that team, they're not going to mind paying it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what they're trying to do is kind of follow that Russell Wilson model. You can go out and build your team if you can get a young quarterback, and while you're getting that young quarterback, you go out and get some veterans around him. So, yeah, so
anyway, thank you, Mark.
And thank you. And Joe, one other point around the wide receiver thing. I mean, who would you say that other than Tom Brady is the next Hall of Fame quarterback shoe in? Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, in Aaron Rodgers, they've not drafted a wide receiver in the first round in Green Bay in 20 years. So
I love it. I love it. And they got two great players last night out of the University of Georgia. So on that end, my rival did get better. But I love any sort of dig at Aaron Rodgers.
they really, I was kind of shocked by that. So, but they were saying there is no value in, I mean, it wasn't that there was no value. They said that you can get other players at a higher value at that point in the draft, but you also still can get good, really good wide receivers. And to your point, Joe, I don't think this draft was necessarily top heavy, but it seems like these next couple of rounds, there's a lot of really good football players still left. So you could potentially see some second, third rounders taken in the next couple of days that are going to be game changers for their teams. Starting off with, of course, I'll be shocked if a Georgia guy isn't the first one off the board. So they would have 6 defensive players taken in the first 33 players potentially. So lot more to get to on the NFL draft. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of wide receiver potential moves, Joe, that hasn't happened yet, and whether or not the Green Bay Packers will make a move to buy a little bit more time in the wide receiver core. Talking about that and more right here on the Martin Houston Show. And as we go to break, I want to remind you to go check out Southmark Design. Southmark Design, official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show, southmarkdesign.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, roadways are pretty quiet as we start our Friday morning. No wrecks or delays, but if you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is fair, fast, with a fun family environment. They're stress-free shopping. You'll save thousands. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Cruise into your summer vacation this year in a world-class BMW. Come to BMW of Tuscaloosa and get acquainted with the ultimate driving machines. Each model is individually crafted with a spacious interior, impeccable design, and even selectable drive modes. With the push of a button, choose luxurious comfort, peppy performance, or gas economy. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Skyland Boulevard East.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, brought to you by Pepsi.
Hey, why don't you join the movement for a world without cancer? Hey, save the date for the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life of Tuscaloosa. It happens on Friday, May 13th at Central High School. Be sure to save the date, Friday, May 13th, and help in the fight against cancer. To get more details, be sure to log on to relayforlife.org/Tuscaloosa.
Hey, is this line secure?
Franco cybersecurity firm secured a contract, and that's all we're allowed to say.
We have a green light on hiring.
He needs web security professionals with a military background.
3 teams of 4, 24-hour rotations, but Protocol Zulu is on a need-to-know basis.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard, so you can stay organized and connected all the way to the hire. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. A couple comments we hadn't got to. Chuck Hunt saying, I saw a few Alabama football players get drafted yesterday as expected, and that's right. If you missed it, Evan Neal, number 7 to the New York Giants. I think the way the draft played out, actually with both tackles being available, Joe, at the number 5 position, the Giants knew that they would definitely be able to get either Akeem out of North Carolina or Neal, so they went with Thibodeau at 5 and still got the guy they wanted at number 5. At number 7, a lot of people saying that that's one of the best moves of the draft. Big get for the Giants, and of course, Brian Daboll, having been here in Tuscaloosa in his past, knows that the kids out of Alabama are good kids ready to be the pros. Blind Squirrel Sports, of course, Georgia fan said, I was surprised Nakobe Dean didn't go in the first round. I still like watching a highlight Dean made versus Michigan, where he sideline and tackled the Wolverine running back in the backfield. Kind of a shocker. Reminded me of Raekwon Smith. And, of course, he said he was disappointed that the Atlanta didn't address their defensive line issues early in the draft. They falconed it up, in my opinion. This is a family show, so I couldn't say what I really wanted to. Need to start a movement. Hey, Falcons, move to Alabama. Hey, real quick, Joe, is there any possibility that your Bears go out and match up Nakobe Dean with Smith there in Chicago?
I think there's a small possibility. I think, well, maybe about 15-20%.
Yeah.
My big thing today is for the Bears to accumulate as many of those mid-round picks as we can. So trading out of number 39 would be my preferred thing. But
Okay. I see.
All linebacker is one of the many needs for the poor franchise of the Chicago Bears. So that'd be a great pick.
Yeah, I did. I thought about that when he didn't make it, and I thought, well, he might get reunited. But is that one of the biggest surprises, though, that of the Georgia guys not necessarily by the time we got here, because we know Walker had exploded, but if you were picking, would you not have thought Dean may have been the next guy? Or one of those top 2 or 3 Georgia defensive players?
Yeah, one of the top 2 or 3. Jordan Davis with his
Yeah.
And Louis Sean, really, I was surprised that Louis Sean with the last pick of their first round. I think he's a pretty special player. But Nakobe Dean, he should have gone.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. But God Almighty, Fletcher Cox, even though he's at the end of his career, putting big Jordan beside. They made. Someone said that I thought this was interesting. They were talking about helping a young quarterback. I think it was Stanford's head coach made the statement, Joe, and I thought this was pretty interesting. He said a lot of times people think helping a young quarterback is always getting offensive players. And he said that the Jaguars pick was because that franchise said to help our young quarterback, let's get better on defense so he doesn't have to throw the ball 40-something times and he gets more opportunities to play offense. So let's help our defense be able to get off the field. And I thought, that's a coach, you know what I mean? That a typical fan is going to be like, get a left tackle, get a wide receiver, get a quarterback. Well, I mean, if the guy doesn't have to throw it 45 times a game, the left tackle you already have may be good enough. So I thought that was an interesting insight from a coach's perspective. So anyway, we got Pat. Pat, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Martin. Hey, had Jacoby Dean not chosen Georgia and have chosen Alabama, would he have been in the first round?
No.
No.
No. I don't think so. I think Jacoby Dean, his career at Georgia, you can't question. You can't say his career would have been better at Alabama than it was at Georgia. They just had, man. I mean, they had 5 guys, Pat, taken in the first round. I mean, there was 5, and like I said, I don't get why the NFL puts more on stats. I mean, on statistical measurements and potential than they do on actual results. They're arrogant. They think that they can coach better than college coaches, and if they see a guy who has measurables that are off the chart, but haven't necessarily, reached that full potential, a la Walker at number 1. Walker at number 1 was nowhere near the best player on that Georgia defense last year. But he has the highest potential if you get him in the right position according to the mindset of the NFL coaches.
Yeah. Hey, just that Jacoby, I wanted Jacoby out of high school probably that year. He was probably one of the best defensive player that I was looking at as far as a recruit goes. That the guy was phenomenal.
Yep.
He made
put it like this, Pat. If he was
he made North Mississippi special over there.
Pat, if he had came here, we would have had Jacoby Dean and Christian Harris, and Toa would have still been in Tennessee.
Yeah,
and we would have been better. I'd take Jacoby Dean over Toa.
So, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
What else you got for him?
Yeah, I just think that he'll be the first player that he'll be a steal in the second round, no matter where he goes.
Yeah, I agree.
It just, like I said, I was just shocked that he didn't go in the first round. But then again, let's go back to yesterday. The bearded wonder in the afternoon was talking about Kirby and Kirby back to Alabama. Why in the crap would Kirby come back to Alabama when he can be at Georgia and be happy with mediocrity? Georgia fans, they got their one win by luck, and it's the fact that we were so depleted at wide receiver. Had we been helped Jameis Winston and Matthew been healthy, who would have beat them like a yard dog?
Yeah, well, I did think that the Alabama, seeing the draft last night. Joe, I want you to come in on this real quick. Seeing the draft last night made me realize just how good Bryce Young might be. When you see that that they had 5 first rounders and really 6 for sure, and we were down 2 wide receivers, and we still had a chance late in that game
to win it.
Yeah. So
that's what
but Pat, I have to correct you. I don't think that Are you saying that Georgia's in mediocrity, or the fans are satisfied with mediocrity?
No, the fans are satisfied with mediocrity. And in that it is not as special to them as it is to us.
Well, Pat, let me. I'm
Like the SEC, it just means more, but in Alabama, it means more.
Pat. I'm gonna give you. Now they did have a 40-something year drought, but the only reason Georgia football doesn't have 4 national titles right now is only because Nick Saban has 3 of them.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't know how you call that mediocrity, then, Joe. I mean, Pat. I mean, I guess that's what we were. I guess from Stallings to Saban, then, right? We were that mediocrity fan base. I got to get to another caller, Pat. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were striving for it. I mean, like I said, hey, Coach Sheila was only a couple of plays away from getting us there.
And so was Mark Riggs. So I mean, you remember, Pat, we won 1 national title in a 30-year window now. So
Hey, but Mark Riggs was a good guy.
all right, be good, Pat. Have a good one. All right, let me get Alan on this side. Alan, go ahead. You're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I was just noticing something. First of all, Will Anderson, if he is in the draft this year, he obviously goes number 1 for
What?
And before the other guy from Georgia goes. As
What?
a sophomore, he
Well,
goes number 1, period.
Watch this, Alan. We would have had the 1st and 2nd pick of this draft. Bryce Young and Will Anderson would have fought each other for 1 and 2 in this draft. Because you look where one quarterback taken at number 20. So, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, it's this. I was just talking to a guy that played NFL for a couple of years. Well, he actually played about 10 years. And I was just asking him last night. I was noticing that how, one Alabama guy had like a $60,000 watch on, the other one had $25,000 shoes on. And I'm just wondering, where are the financial advisors at? Where are these agents that's putting these guys in the NFL, telling them, you're not even signing the contract yet. You got all this. You're going into the NFL in debt. That's something that we're learning at a young age. You don't do, but yet we're teaching these guys, these younger guys that's coming up. Hey, it's okay to go in debt if you think you're going. What happens if one of these guys hurts a knee, or anything can happen, and all of a sudden you're wearing your life on your wrist.
Yeah,
you're wearing everything you got on your wrist.
That is the financial advisors.
You're not showing our young guys anything. I mean, I guess I'm an old school guy, but that's just right there, just showing somebody dropping the ball with these young guys.
Yeah, let me tell you.
I can't play no more. These financial advisors not going to be around. These guys can't play no more.
Let me tell you what they do, Alan. Let me tell you what they do. Those top guys like N'Kobe Dean, if he doesn't have this, somebody should be beaten. N'Kobe Dean should have had an insurance policy that covered him falling out of the 1st round. See, some of these guys go out and get these Lords of London. So what they do is they get policies that, I mean, and there's all types of things you can get insured against, and through Lords of London is mainly it. And so like the guys who are guaranteed up there, if they have some type of injury, they probably have their knees or arms, whatever. And if it causes them to drop below a certain percentage, like Dylan Moses actually had a contract last year that was a problem. I mean, if he fell below a certain draft pick, then he got paid insurance money. So, and I'm sure he cashed in on that policy. So that, unfortunately, you're like me though. You still until you get it, don't spend it. That would be good financial advice for anyone, whether it's a $60,000 watch or $100 device you're buying from somewhere. If you don't have $100, don't go spend it.
Okay, let me ask you this, Martin.
Go ahead.
If your son, let's say if your son was in the top 10, would you advise him to go out there and buy a $50,000 watch or a $100,000 car?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. But you know what? I use that. That's what I'm saying. I tell my kids the same thing now. You know, is it even if you're not, whatever your job is, don't spend it till you get it. You know, until you are hired and have that income. And in the NFL draft, no matter how sure you are, like the kid that went to the Jets, the last kid, Jermaine Johnson, the second, Allen, he was top 5 to top 10 on everybody's board. And the only reason he ended up in the first round was the Jets jumped back into the draft at like 29 to pick him up. But do you know how much money, if he was planning his life around being a top 10 pick versus a top 29, he gonna make more money than us. But if he planned his life before he got hired as a top 10 pick, he is going to make significantly less in that 29th pick over the next 4 to 5 years. Literally, I'm talking about possibly $2-3 million a year difference. So you're talking, huh?
What often happens with some of these gifts that you're, or some of these high dollar items that you're seeing with these draftees prior to being drafted, is a lot of the times those are agent gifts. Now, not always, but I would imagine that nice watch that Evan Neal was wearing last night. I would imagine, and this is just a guess, that was a gift probably from his agent for signing on with his agency. A lot of these agents use these high dollar items, nice shoes, a nice suit, a nice watch. Jameson Williams was wearing a big old chain on his neck. Most of the time, that becomes kind of a gift that the agents use to lure them to sign on as a client.
And it's a gift that the players don't recognize that the agents get back. I always tell people, agents don't make money, but off of players. Joe, I used to tell guys all this time, and you remember FSU shoes, FF shoes. Yeah, you know what that was the other people's money that agent was spending, and so agents make money off of players. So if he's giving this year's guy, right, and you're right, Joe, those players didn't buy that, but I'm always leery. You gave me that.
They're definitely indebted.
Yeah, and so now I turn around and I tell you what, instead of you giving me that $60,000 watch, why don't I just give you 1% less of the money I'm making that's going to pay you? But that's Martin, and I'm probably a little. I probably have a little different opinion. Thanks, Alan. Got to let you go. Hey, Joe, real quick, I want to ask you a quick question, Joe, before you get out of here. Is it possible that the Green Bay Packers pick up Julio Jones? Could it happen?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Wouldn't that be something? Julio Jones.
It's so sad, but yeah, I think turn up Aaron Rodgers, that they can go make a run. I think Julio's a really good fit ingredient.
So man, I've been wanting to ask. I was like, Joe's gonna be like, if they pick up Julio Jones, and all he has to do is just get back one time, Joe, to himself for one more season, and he'll probably leave a Super Bowl champion. So, hi, man, I appreciate you, Joe. Appreciate all the callers, listeners, viewers, chatters for being a part of the show. A great Friday. Have a great weekend. More of the NFL draft. We didn't get into the Alabama guys that go today, but hey, hopefully 4 or 5 guys go off the board today, especially pulling for Hillcrest, Brian, Robinson, hoping to see him go in those top 3 rounds. So good luck to him. Maybe even first, second, third running back off the board. Hey, remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. Always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody. Catch you on Monday.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You too, Jeff.